Hey guys, Dylan Donegan here with Team Lotus Box, here to bring you kind of a special band talk announcement. We just had a recent announcement on Monday where Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, got banned. I forgot the name. Got banned in Standard, which was kind of longly awaited. Um, but we're kind of here to talk about what the implications of that ban are and what Standard is going to look like going forward, kind of the health of the format, and of course the Omnath, which is the looming presence over the format at the moment. Um, so I'm here with Sam Rolfe. So everybody give him a warm welcome real quick. Who generously gave me a deck list this past weekend. I played in the Standard Challenge, which I ended up taking down, where I actually beat Sam in the top four of the four-color Omnath deck, which also Tangrams won the Star City event, which was one of the larger events that happened that weekend, and then also Michael Bonde won the Moto PDQ with four-color adventures. So Omnath, pretty handily taking down every single event of the weekend. If you really kind of delve deep, you kind of realize that Uro was not a big part of that. So Sam's been playing actually a lot of Magic lately, a lot more than myself for sure, probably more than most people on the team. So I kind of wanted to get his perspective because he both built the deck and has been playing a lot and seems to have a good understanding on the format. So we're here to talk just about what the implications of the ban are and format going forward, and just kind of what the Omnath deck's going to look like and how we got there. So, anyways, welcome, Sam. Sorry for the rambles.
It was quite a ramble. I guess I'll introduce myself real quick. Hello, everybody. I'm Sam Rolfe. If you don't know who I am, I'm Phil Helmuth on Magic Online. I'm playing a bunch for the past year or so with that handle. I built the Ruin Trap deck that won the Standard Challenge. Dylan played. I was top 40. It also got fourth place under Karate Dom, who also had access to the deck list. So you want to talk about the Standard fans? Or you want to talk about how we got to the Ruin Trap list?
Yeah, let's just start real quick with all right, what does Uro getting banned mean for Standard? Because I think it's kind of up in the air. People don't really know what really is going on. So I'll let you touch on that. So we actually didn't really play. We only played one Uro in our deck this weekend.
Yeah.
And it was certainly not a central part of the deck. It was really just to keep up with other Uros. So, yeah, I mean, if you want, just kind of talk about what Standard's going to look like going forward and kind of the lack of effectiveness of the ban, so to speak.
So I'll start with what the Uro now being away from the format means. It means decks that are trying to one-for-one, you gain a lot of stock because Uro is the main way you can combat those sort of strategies, right? You'd always have the extra 6/6 and the card draw from that. I also think Uro for the Omnath decks means very little, but I still think it is a slight nerf, right? But the reason I didn't play Uro in my list this weekend was because Standard was moving towards a very weapons race. Everyone was trying to do things more powerful than the next, or fight it on a different axis, right? So there was people playing counter spells, there was people playing a more flash game, but I found out that people are still ripping 10 cards off the top of their deck in games, right? So you're really only going to mill out maybe 40 cards during the game, which is very easy with Ruin Crab and the extra land drops you get from all the cards. So that's why we moved towards the Ruin Crab list. But the reason we played so few Uros wasn't because we did combat other Uros, it was just because of the Sultai decks trying to one-for-one you still on a way to generate card advantage if you're escaping the wild, you just ultimatums, or didn't get or got counted, or had remorse or something like that. That's why we played Uros.
Gotcha. So, but yeah. First of all, I'll touch on with the crabs. Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I had a couple different games in the challenge where my opponents would be vastly ahead on pretty much every resource, have more mana, have more things in play, have an Omnath going, but I was able to basically just cheek them out. I mean, I did it to you in game one, basically.
Yes. Crab, I did nothing. I was ahead on
everything.
Everything. And you're just like, yeah.
But Crab is just a different angle that you can't really interact with. So, I mean, thank you, Sam. The deck was insane. And it was, I felt that mirrors...
Really broke it.
I wish I got to play... I mean, thankfully, I'm queued for the Pro Tour, so I didn't have to play the PTQ. But, I really wish I got to play the Star City or something that weekend. Something big. Because when I saw you playing it on that day, I was like, wow, this seems sick. like I wasn't planning on playing a freaking challenge, but I guess I'll play it. Yeah, definitely was right. But yeah, I think like kind of one of the biggest points that I'm trying to emphasize here is just that like I think the deck that Sam 75 that Sam built, or of course the 4-color Omnath shell is the best deck in standard. We know that, and I think the crab build was kind of the certainly the way to go for the mirror match, which seems to be like going to be a large portion of the format going forward, and we'll get into that in just a bit. But because of that, like it just seems like the deck's essentially untouched. Uro is really non-essential to that specific build of the deck with Dryad and everything utilizing that. The build Tangrams played with the retreats, that one utilizes Uro a lot more. It certainly looks a little more mid-rangey, kind of less combo-y. But I think the crab one is the way to go, and if that's the case, I just want to emphasize that this Uro ban just didn't do anything. Like this, it's just like the deck's still insane, fully functional. Really, it just like a dink. It's just like a very little dink in the armor,
It does open up ways to abuse the Omnath strategy, right? Because now decks are trying to like trade cards for you. The 4-color Omnath deck is trying to build up and cast 7 drops. So if you're just attacking the mana with removal spells for Lotus Cobra, or if you're trying to do the crab combo, you're just dealing with crabs. The deck isn't super resilient without the Uro in the mid-range list. And the crab deck isn't also as resilient as the other list because you don't have ways to like small card advantage engines like the retreats or like that sort of thing. So I do think it kind of has a lot of depth right now to abuse the Omnath strategies, and the Uro ban is effective for doing that. However, I do not think it's enough to stop the deck, and I still think the deck is going to be the best deck in standard. I don't think the crab deck is going to be the best deck in standard because the reason it was so good is because you're trying to beat exactly the mirror, right? And I think the ban of Uro opens up a ton of other strategies, so the metagame isn't going to be as skewed as it was last weekend.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I want to segue now into what standard looks like because I think it's a nice segue where we talked about 4-color adventures and 4-color Omnath certainly being, I'd say, tier 1.
Yes.
But now I want to touch on what you're just talking about. We saw these Sultai decks from the last format with basically a blue-black control deck splash Uro. Yeah. And I agree with you that their validity might increase because the lack of Uro now means that 1-for-1 game plan is more effective. Like a negate on our Genesis Ultimatum or just a Mystical Dispute on Omnath. It's effective, right? So I can see a blue-black. Maybe it's still Sultai. I've been seeing people say it's still Sultai. But
it should be Sultai because you want Wilt still in your deck for the Clover deck, so they're going to take up the metagame.
Yeah, because if you're just blue-black or blue-white, you just lose to Wilt. Or lose to Clover.
Clover. It's very hard to answer it.
Yeah, so I could definitely see some form of 3-color control being in the metagame. I'm skeptical that it would be the best deck. Excuse me. But I do think, it might be a player. That's what I'll say on that.
You're just saying like 2-color control decks?
Or, I think, I agree it's going to be Sultai, like blue-black with a Wilt Splash. But I'm just saying, I don't see that deck going past tier 2, but I see it in the metagame.
I think if you're not playing Omnath, you're probably making some sort of mistake.
Yeah,
standard moving forwards, in my opinion, is going to all be down to one card combos, basically. Things like Ember Cleave, Windnoter is probably going to open up because I think that deck is super unscored right now. Because it was very popular during the tail end of the last format, and it's only probably got stronger, right? There's a brand new set of cards. Cameron's still in the format as a human. The Lieutenant's still in the format. We've not really explored that. And I think it's probably quite against the Omnath strategies. So things like that are going to start coming in. Ember Cleave, like I said. Alright, I think that's where the metagame is headed. Just one card sort of combos. One card advantages.
The non-mirrors I played in the challenge were all just Gruul and Red. So I can see, some Ember Cleave deck kind of rising to the ranks. But again, I think it's just going to be tier 2 because at the end of the day, Omnath just breaks the rules. So
Omnath is probably the most fastest card released in the last few years.
Yeah. And we've had Oko, Uro, Urza, I think Omnath's just I said it in a I replied to Mars or no, I replied to Sebastian Pozo's meme of like the people in the funeral like carrying Uro or whatever, and it's the Omnath Lotus card, and I was like, Omnath's moving up quick in the world, like. Uh, um, but yeah, so yeah, I mean, I think going forward, we're just looking at Omnath, four color Omnath is the best deck. So you think Crab is not going to be
I think depending where the metagame moves, if it's still four color mirrors, the crab list is the supreme deck for that, for fighting exactly four color Omnath. But for fighting things like blue black control, mono red, I haven't tested the match against Team Adventures, but I imagine that's maybe favored for the crab list. I didn't really get to play against it. So if the metagame is still Omnath decks, I think the crab list is the way to beat that. But if the metagame opens up, I think the crab stock goes down quite a bit. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. So, but real quick, so like for the grand finals, which I believe is next week, right?
Yeah.
You know, I would expect a big portion of that metagame to just be the four color Omnath list. Do you think Crab would be potentially the optimal choice for that event? Because it seems like it would be in theory.
Grand finals, I would think so.
Yeah.
However, it really just depends on where the metagame moves. Because there's still quite a few events coming up in between. I think there's a Moto PTQ next weekend, I might be wrong. I think there's... Oh no, the Moss event is this weekend.
Yeah, the showcase events.
Showcase. So
yep.
There's a huge standard event going on this weekend, which should shake things up. I think that... Honestly, I think Winota is going to be the breakout deck of the grand finals. That's my big claim.
Okay.
So,
bold claim.
In 2 weeks, right?
Not bold.
You can all come back and say Stan was a big idiot for this one. But I'm so sure of it. Winota's the way to be in standard. But Omnath mirrors, you want to be on crabs. If the metagame opens up, then I think it will be maybe more like a mid-rangey list of Omnath, right? With Gibbs, Negates, Main, maybe some Sharp Typhoons.
Something really close to what Tangrams was playing.
Yeah, more to the Tangrams list than my list, I think, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and if I were playing for this tournament, I would just be starting with four color, and then I would be trying Michael Bonday's Adventures list as well.
I don't think that Adventure deck is actually very good.
I agree. I've been really underwhelmed by the Adventure deck.
Yeah, every time I look at the list, it's just like, what's the benefit?
So mopey. If we don't draw our engine cards, like, what is our deck doing? It's just, like, so medium.
A bunch of few for ones.
It's just medium, you know? It's just, like, your cards are just, like, very ineffective.
It's the utility of Fave, which is and the power of Clover, right? That's what keeps it in.
Yeah.
But, like, I think the utility of Fave would be better if you just cast against the ultimate. That's kind of where I'm at.
But yeah, I think that was good. I'm gonna wrap this up. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Maybe we'll try to do this a little more. Certainly, we have more frequent bans nowadays, so we have more opportunities too.
Oh
yeah. Sam, thanks for joining me today, man. I enjoyed this.
Enjoyed being here.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this as well, and enjoy casting your Omnaths. Take care, guys.
Bye, everybody.